Right, yeah, trust that you di and come out on Atik Mohammed a year Obia say do a political a commentator and I say social a commentator and then some of the atuja at the far a year and some of the about to far one more appointees after a year 7th a year December about 20 2 year Mampany Nadan Kufado about more appointment near Juma Wood or your Michael Krogan or public sector anymore. As I said, to just as phone in a Babajuma Juma idea from 17. Yeah, there's Atik Mohammed and so Archana watch revoking all appointees and recruitment made after a year 7th a year December no make a lot of economic sense and no yan somehow do Atik Mohammed on so de true ega ebusuyanko na yenti Atik nchire mu do de atodwa fa san sabro ye ba be transfer fei ye di sabro so ho enkomo
enti. And what we need to recognize is that they be a can say abandon budget no ba. If you go to look at expenditures, the item that consumes a lot of government's revenue, a compensation, apart from interest payments. The next is your kind compensation. You 2 month for car. Now, so you know, yeah, you can say we are see economy. We should be working towards, you know, digitalizing a lot of the functions. You know, now I say titi so the like nkrofua in the public sector. I say titi so. But the private sector, so they can employ more of our graduates. Intermediate me on account of cost, and then the second is procedure. Process started long ago. It should be looked at on case by case basis. Recruitment process didn't start today.
So I think maybe some TBBSO. Say. Because to abawi na fa omunti na omunkofie na se sika na eni honti na se so omukofie
ne mienu no nyina nti am ka say it is on account of cost and procedure. And I'm saying say wow we are recruitment if you felt strongly say this particular sector has need for sankrofi then na ma utwen ya till after ya wuluzi aba and akwa recruitment. Well, at the risk of sounding politically in this conversation, the party ma because say pama ya pamye you muna mama ya pamye because if indeed you had the chance and there was a need for you to do recruitment then utwen ya ma yakotu abani wie then all of a sudden you are doing recruitment. What is here? So for me I think procedurally it's even problematic. And Obeka say during the transition period there were concerns about SAR recruitment. And you know, I'm sure the government, the incoming government side, had a cause to say there should be a freeze on SAR recruitment. Because it is cost you are creating for them, which is external to their to their decisions. Running the economy, already the economy is in trouble. Until you recruitment more, a cost now will create the mawom. And this is not the cost they themselves have generated. And it's a cost that could be averted. Until SAR warning had been sounded. But people didn't hit SAR call. Until media I think it's not a bad call. My only advice is people should look at it from and our buying should assess this directive and look at the cases on their merits. A process no cry didn't even start in June. AB started in January and a year before and so on. So few and isolated cases, they should have the opportunity to be considered by government. And my other issue I'm making is look, it's about time we gave the private sector that environment they need to operate. Government is not an employer. In the scheme of things, government is not an employer. What is here? But Ghana, I'm going to say, because the private sector is unable and are disabled, I think the right word is the private sector is disabled from creating more job opportunities. I bind the attorney who say, media, me na make creating juma. And sometimes when we are demanding data on employment, they say, oh, young Kofa SNIT data that would show how much Yakanizan government has created employment. And I think that it's a manifestation, it's a function of failure by government to create the environment that would make it necessary and that would make it conducive for people to create employment for, or you can say, Mebunu and the rest of that. Intermediate, even though it sounds harsh, but I think it makes a lot of economic sense. And procedurally, Mijidi say, they've looked at some of the processes that led to our recruitment. And I'm saying, no way, I mean, on the face of it, it might sound harsh, but the truth is that this is a call that government needs to make. Already, when we transition into a middle-income country, we lost some privileges by way of donor support. But you had other agencies like USAID still working, even though they were not giving budgetary support, but they were doing a lot of things to help. So, see, there's a new sheriff in town, or say, international aid, US Edima, Amama Mbebrebe, Omudi. And government's estimation is that we are going to lose 156 million worth of investment by USAID in our economy. That's already a gap. And Abanwe, before it came, in the next few days, you have a presenting budget. In government's economic policy, they intend to present some of the things that Ibn said. There will be tax cuts and cancellation of some handles. What that means is that government is going to be losing revenue by reason of cancelling some of these taxes. And already we always complain, said tax to GDP ratio in this country is very low, which means our tax effort is very low. Now yes, I be Ephraim, which means that and if you care to follow, government's fiscal policy, you know the sources of revenue, especially tax revenue. You know, baby, free. And if we are taking some of these handles away, you can compute how much government is going to be making in the coming days. And there's going to be a huge gap. And anytime you have issues with revenue shortfalls, there are two things you do. You try to increase your revenue collection, which is a difficulty as we speak. It's not easy. The second is to rationalize your expenditures. Now, a cost in the form of compensation. AGD say, you were free because and we also think that procedural I think it's about the best decision they could take. And media, it is harsh. However you look at it, it's not going to be pleasant to do so.
Right, I was a nipa yokotie ne Atik Mohammed ne twagu yenye chance na fe semo do de atodwa no ye di ho enkomo enkomo
no kure ni nyame ne muni aturo bi a ye politicians no concert no omo dodo concert no na ye politicians ne de papa sa ne mana no mo ye ya afede ne time so no okọ na ba foforo ba so we bi na nka meye we bi na meye no sir. As a politicians always want to take advantage of the the people no more they didn't say no more dey omope enti wo say ato abawi ni pe ni so lose and so akoka te sword ye be ye feyi ase kwan akoka te sword ye be ye ha kwan nti asamba so mi na nka meye wa so no sa ba tu we lose na die nti na wotena ho mfie bebrebe wan tu akoka te sword no na mo ye to abawi lose no afi na akoka te sword. It's the same thing. Abanye etwam yi de etete say ye to abawie na wa employ nkofo ko security agencies mo say other sectors no na between afa nkofo na watena wa December 2024 ya to abawie a wonu sa ba so ya to awie wa luzie nti ade na wokofa na esa wo bo popone ato de ama next government a wo ba na ankanya bone say Ghana fo benya adwumaye na mu adwene be ne ta akire se wo tra abamu mfie nwotwe ne nyina no wantumi amfa nipa akosi anasa nipa na afọ sabre no wantumi amfa until January 7 after December 7 ya to abawi a wawusu waluzu no na okofa kofo agum sabre na wupia nkofo agum etu nkofo no kra be hunu se watreke wo because adene ya mfamia na afeni akofamia afena aban foforo bai no oso obia ye fa sabre bia Kofi ye nyina nso nim se economy no obia ji tu se ejimi asisi ekura ye kasai ye light ikura na say pressure
asa kan no yi
enti ade na sabre na so ye kofa nkofo e na won so awu le nkofo off no wa so na mo ka say o man no mu adwuma ni ho e na aban kreti adwuma kreti adwuma no beto na wo abolish
yes
o batu aguo enti we nyina ya niam am feel say your politicians they are always taking advantage of us etu ya Ghana ni no adwene mu da wa entiense mu hunu free your politician course
no na be press conference ka say or the abina kokoto say fasa se no
say political tactics or come obi an say ne wom ni ade but we nyansa na bisa ho say aden na abina fa sankofo kro no all these years over benemu beka
ya to aba
walu saka ya to aba no wini yan ko ba fa sa nipa no was abre no yabi because afena aben to enti adeta etimi dem fi say ade bia no ye ma ma no hu ya first
right, so we like share na for comment section I say fa ya kram